there's little left in this world that is unexplored, and that's just what the spelunkers, or the amateur cave explorers, think about. When they search the ground for the telltale signs of a new cave, they seek to be the first to explore these depths of the earth. That's just what Randy Tufts and Gary Tenen were thinking about as they scoured over the Whetstone Mountains in southeast Arizona. There they found a sinkhole in the ground, and when they crawled in, found a small room with a passage about 10 inches high and 2 feet wide. After wiggling down about 20 feet of this, they came across a small opening in a rock, and once crawling through, found the passage opened up into one of the biggest live caves in the world. Today I'm going to describe to you how the Kartchner Cavern State Park was founded and the wonders it contains. It was first discovered by Tufts and Tenen in 1974, but not turned into a state park until 14 years later in 1989, and then finally opened to the public on November 12, 1999. Tufts and Tenen decided that they wanted to keep this find pristine, in good condition, and didn't want it ruined, so they decided they'd keep it a secret until they could get it turned into a state park. In order to keep it secret, they used aliases, Mark Lewis and Bob Clark, Lewis and Clark, to find out information from other caves and compare theirs to other caves, along with finding out how to turn their cave into a state park. Also, if they ever heard a rumor of another cave or another group of people trying to search for the cave, they got the Kartchner family who owned the land, who was made up of doctors, teachers, nurses, to act like ranchers and bring shotguns and ride up and scare people off their land. According to Neil Miller, author of a book about Kartchner Caverns, they went so far as to blindfold the state officials and experts that they brought to inspect the cave, so they could not discover where it was before it was protected. This all worked, and no one else explored this cave before it opened to the public. Kartchner Caverns is a living cave, which means that the formations are still growing. In order for it to stay this way, it must be kept at a constant temperature of 67 degrees, and also about 99% humidity. To do this, they had to install new technology into the cave, including using airlock doors to keep the temperature and humidity constant, as well as using preventative measures to stop from dirt and grime from people getting into the cave and ruining it. To do this, they used an air system, which blows the lint off clothing, and then a mister to stick what is left of the clothing to the clothes so that it won't fall off during the walk through the caves. Also, they have special paths to walk on, which they wash down every night so that dirt and whatnot from the shoes doesn't grow in the cave. They must protect it because not only is it a living cave, but it is home to wildlife, including about 2,000 bats which roost there during the summer. These bats and their guano provide the energy which fuels this cave, keeping the cave living. They wanted to protect this cave because not only is it one of the biggest in the world, but also it has some very record-breaking formations. Now, here, here we have a soda straw. On the left is a picture of the soda straws hanging in Kartchner Caverns, and on the right you can see a detailed picture of one forming. For these to form, water which drips through the limestone picks up calcium carbonate as it goes. Now, as it drops at the end, it leaves behind the very small traces of this and slowly adds, and it keeps growing downward like that. According to Sam Negri, author of Nature's Underground Wonderland, it takes about 750 years for an inch to grow. And so the longest one in the Kartchner Caverns is 20 feet, 2 inches long, which has been growing untouched for about 180,000 years. This at the time was the longest one in the world, but is now second longest to one in Australia. Now, if the soda straw was to become blocked, the water could no longer run down the center and would then run down the outside, widening it and creating a stalactite which hangs from the ceiling. When the water drips on the ground, it forms the stalagmite, which builds up from the ground up, as you can see in the right side of that picture. Now, if the two meet, which has here on the left side you get a column, and this one is Kubla Khan, and it's the tallest in Arizona at 58 feet tall. Another interesting formation is cave bacon, which you see how it got its name. And this is made when water running through the caves picks up certain minerals as it goes through. The lighter white strips are made from calcium. Pure calcium would be white. And as it picks up iron oxide, which is red, also known as rust, it changes the colors to a sort of yellow, and then if it's a lot of iron, it becomes the red color. Karshner Caverns is a beautiful place, and it is as pristine today as it was when Tufts and Tennant first discovered it. Luckily, they had the good sense to hide it and protect this cave until it was ready to be open to the public. And thanks to them, we can all enjoy these beautiful caverns. Thank you.
So, Ivan, what did you think?
Well, I think it was a good presentation. He had a good thesis, transitions, and he had a lot of strong points, and it's a good story. That's about it.
It's okay. Just want to make sure we don't knock the camera over. All right, Colin, I thought that the opening statement sounded pretty good. I'm not sure if it's a quote or a story or it's your own description, but it was pretty effective, and I thought you had a good transition to the point that you're trying to make. Your thesis is very clear, so you're solid there. I think you need to preview what the content is going to be a little bit more. As I'm listening to it, it's kind of about the history and then the process of getting it into a park, and then what the features are. And I'm kind of having to impose that backwards. So you've got good internal transitions. You've got labels about what you're talking about when you get to them. But like I've said to several other people, kind of letting us know where you're headed is a good idea for most audiences. There was good supporting material early on. I thought that the first half of the speech, you kind of pull us in by using the story as the way to structure the material, and I think that that's an interesting idea because it's easy for people to relate to the story, and then there's the intrigue about, you know, people being blindfolded so they could take them to see it, or having a cover story and, you know, keeping it a secret. That's stuff that's interesting, and it's going to draw the audience in quite a bit. Your definitions, when you get to the later parts of the speech, you talk about the features in the caves themselves. I think one of the problems is that you have the names on the slides and you use the words sometimes before you telling us that this is the term that's used to describe those kinds of things, so it gets a little confusing. Like when you're talking about the soda straws, it says these are soda straws, and I'm going, well, what the hell are they letting people stick straws up on the ceiling for? That sounds pretty dumb. And then, of course, as your explanation goes on, oh, I get it, it's not this. So it's a little backwards. Instead, I think what you need to say is something simpler, like the features that they have in the cave, these long, elongated things, these are called soda straws, you know, that kind of thing. So it's just a matter of the language being juxtaposed a little bit, so it would be clearer if it was different. I thought all of the visuals were very good at illustrating the points that you were talking about, and that you made pretty good references to them. You do have a tendency to talk down and look down a lot while you're speaking. We're not that scary. Some of us are even asleep. No, I thought there was a little snore there coming. You know, so just talk to us, and we're going to get into that a little bit more, and everybody will do better at that, I'm sure. Especially on this next go round, when you don't have a script in your hands and there's no podium. You know, everybody has to do that a little bit more. All right, thank you.